Most expensive things exist on a continuum. A better watch tells time more beautifully. A better restaurant delivers food that justifies the premium through ingredients, technique, and experience. A better suit fits more precisely, lasts longer, and carries itself differently in a room. The relationship between price and value, while not always linear, at least maintains a recognizable logic. You pay more, you get more of something real and tangible and communicable to anyone who understands the category. And then, there are certain cars. Cars where the logic of incremental value improvement breaks down entirely, and what replaces it is something altogether different, a set of justifications that only make sense if you are operating from a specific altitude of financial reality. Not expensive but aspirational, not rich but still counting, ultra wealthy. The kind of wealthy where certain numbers cease to function as numbers and begin to function as signals, relationships, and statements about how a person has chosen to exist in the world. These cars are not for everyone who can technically afford them. They are for a much smaller group, people for whom the ownership makes sense, not despite its apparent irrationality, but because of it. The Rolls-Royce boat tail is the most extreme example the modern automotive world has produced. And it is worth beginning there, because it establishes the outer boundary of the territory being discussed. 3 cars were made. Each was commissioned by a specific individual, built entirely to that individual's specification over a period of years, and priced, to the extent that a price was ever formally stated, at approximately $28 million per car. The boat tail has a rear deck that opens, electrically and silently, to reveal a bespoke hosting suite, a refrigerated compartment for champagne, a pair of parasols in a fabric matched to the owner's chosen interior color, a picnic table that deploys with the kind of mechanical precision that watchmakers aspire to. It was designed for a specific vision of how its owner spends their time. Not commuting, not school runs, not airport transfers, but arriving at an event, a regatta, a concours, a private gathering of people at a similar altitude of existence, and deploying an object that communicates, without words, an entire philosophy of how one lives. At $28 million, this car makes no sense if you are considering value. It makes complete sense if you are considering identity, if you understand that for the person who commissioned it, this object is the material expression of a self-image that no other category of purchase could achieve. The Bugatti La Voiture Noire sits in related territory. One was made. It sold for approximately $18 million. It was revealed at the Geneva Motor Show in 2019 beneath a cover to an audience that included the buyer, and it made international headlines for the simple fact of its price. The car is beautiful, genuinely, arrestingly beautiful in the way that very few objects of any kind achieve. But its beauty is inseparable from its singularity. The $18 million is not purchasing a car that is 18 times better than a $1 million car. It is purchasing the state of being the only person in the world who owns this specific object. Singularity, at this level, has a price. And the person who paid it understood exactly what they were buying. Not transportation, not even automotive excellence in the conventional sense, but membership in a category of ownership so exclusive that its membership is measured in single digits. Step down slightly to the merely extraordinary rather than the genuinely unprecedented, and you encounter the Pagani Zonda HP Barchetta. 3 were made, at approximately $17 million each. The Zonda model line had already been in production for over 2 decades when this variant was created, and its buyer base was already an extraordinarily self-selected group. The HP Barchetta has no roof, no windshield in the conventional sense, an aerodynamic bodywork so extreme that it generates meaningful downforce at road speeds. It is, functionally, a racing car that has been granted road registration in a small number of jurisdictions. Using it in the way a car is nominally used, as transportation, as a practical instrument for covering distance, is essentially impossible. The roads it would need to do that do not exist in the daily life of anyone. And yet 3 people bought it at $17 million each, and those 3 people understood completely what they were doing. They were acquiring an object of such rarity and such specificity that ownership itself was the point. The act of possessing something that almost no one else could possess, in a category where almost no one else was even aware that competition existed. The Koenigsegg CCXR Trevita occupies a different position in this conversation because its extraordinary price, approximately $4.5 million at the time of its construction, was driven by something genuinely unique in automotive manufacturing. The body of the Trevita is constructed from a proprietary carbon fiber composite that Koenigsegg developed specifically for this car, in which the carbon fibers are coated in a diamond dust-infused resin that gives the body a shimmering, crystalline appearance in direct light. It does not look like carbon fiber. It looks like something that belongs in a different category of object entirely, a jewelry category, or a fine art category. 2 were built. The manufacturing process for the diamond weave composite was so labor-intensive and so technically demanding that Koenigsegg decided after completing these 2 cars that producing more was not viable. The material cost and labor cost, combined with the impossibility of scaling the process, made continuation impractical. So 2 exist. And the people who own them own not just a car, but a material technology that no longer exists in production, a manufacturing process that has been retired, with only 2 expressions of it remaining in the world. What separates ultra-wealthy buyers from merely wealthy ones, in this context, is not the ability to spend large sums. It is the ability to operate in a market where the normal metrics of evaluation, performance per dollar, feature per dollar, status per dollar, have been replaced by entirely different metrics. Rarity, singularity. Commissioning relationships with manufacturers who will spend years building something specifically for you. Participation in a cultural conversation that occurs entirely above the threshold of what ordinary wealth can access. At this level, the car is not a car in the sense that most people use the word. It is a commissioned object. It is a relationship with a maker. It is evidence of a kind of agency, the ability to cause something extraordinary to exist in the world, simply by wanting it and being in a position to make that want actionable. The transportation is incidental. The mechanics are almost beside the point. What matters is the object itself, what it required to create it, and the very small number of people in the world who exist in the same category of ownership. For everyone else, these cars make no sense at all. And that, for the people who buy them, is precisely the point. Sense, at this altitude, is beside the point entirely.